Welcome back to another episode of the Modern Hotelier. We're excited to release this episode with Michelle Potorski from Duracell. David, what were some of your favorite takeaways from this episode?
It really surprised me because being an ex-GM, I would have thought I would have known or thought more about batteries in a hotel. And what, Procell, which is part of Duracell, is doing is just is really cool. It just kind of reinvigorated a part of my brain that I hadn't been thinking about in many, many years.
Totally. I loved it. And I guess I thought about how many things in the hotel run on batteries. And if they go out, how that really impacts the guest experience. And for her to talk about the new system that they're coming out with that, helps you see the battery life and be more efficient with the staff's time, I thought it was awesome. So enjoy the show.
All right, enjoy it. Welcome to the Modern Hotelier, the most engaged podcast in hospitality. I'm your host, David Millili.
I'm your co-host, Steve Carran.
And I'm the producer, John Boomhofer.
Steve, who do we have on the program today?
Yeah, David, I'm excited for today. We have on Michelle Potorski. Michelle is the VP and General Manager of Duracell Professional. Michelle has a long track record of success in growing long-term growth with some of the largest consumer brands. Welcome to the show, Michelle.
Thank you, Steve. I'm happy to be here.
Okay, Michelle. So we're going to go through a lightning round. We're going to get to know a little bit more about your background, your career, and then we're going to jump into some industry topics. Sound good?
Sounds good.
All right. What was your first job?
My first job was actually with Duracell. I was merchandising for Duracell right out of college, and that meant running around Home Depots and stores like that, merchandising our Duracell copper top batteries and making sure the displays were up, and it was a lot of fun.
That's great. What's something you wish you were better at?
I wish I was better at writing more quickly, being able to write papers and things for work, but being able to do it faster.
Got it. Is there a luxury you can't live without?
I could not live without my coffee.
Got it. All right. Superpower you wish you had?
I wish I could read people's minds.
That's a good one. So where's a place you've never been, but you'd most like to go to?
Oh, that's a good one. I would love to go to Australia.
Okay, great. All right. You've got your own late night talk show host. Who's your first guest going to be?
Oh, my first guest would be, that's a really good one. I think my first guest would be Oprah.
Oh, that's a good one. All right, here's the last one. So you've got a time machine. You can go into the future or into the past. Which way are you going and what year are you going to go to?
Oh, I think I would go into the past to 1996.
Wow.
Great year. I always say that's the best year ever. So great year. There's many reasons I vote for 1996 being one of the best years ever. So I might be there with you. But that was great, Michelle. Thank you for going through those. Now we're going to learn a little bit more about you, where you grew up, what makes you tick. So you grew up, is it Hopkinton, Massachusetts? Is that correct?
I did. I grew up in the Hopkinton, Framingham area, right west of Boston.
Love that. How did that shape you into who you are besides being a Patriots fan?
Very good question. I think growing up in Boston or near Boston, it helped me learn some really great skills about, I would call like street smarts, being able to navigate the city, being able to, to really, become who I wanted to be, but in a very fast-paced and exciting environment.
So you got your bachelor's from Providence and then your master's from Boston College. Give us a little insight as to why those schools and why those majors.
Absolutely. So Providence College was absolutely an excellent experience. It was, grown up in Boston, you're near Boston. It was far enough from home, but close enough that I could go back when I needed to. But it had a great business program. So I was a business administration major, and I really loved the program. I also loved the culture. It was a very inclusive culture on that campus, and it was just an absolutely gorgeous campus. So it was a terrific experience that is still very meaningful in my life today.
That's awesome. So you studied abroad in Florence, Italy.
Yes.
And how did studying abroad change it? Did it change your perspective on anything from living in the United States?
Absolutely. It really gave me great perspective on just, first of all, the richness of other cultures and how, as Americans, sometimes we can just be very focused on being American and not necessarily open our eyes to and be very, and not only open our eyes, but be very accepting of other ways of life and other cultures. So it was very eye opening from that standpoint. And again, terrific from a survival skill standpoint. I studied in Italy. I learned the language to the best of my ability and traveled quite broadly across Europe. So every experience was a different one. You had to, come up to speed very quickly and learn how to navigate. But it was a really life changing experience for me.
That's where those street smarts came in. Right there.
Exactly.
That's great. So it's great to learn a little bit more about you. Now we're going to understand how you got to where you are. So, like you said, you started your career actually at Duracell. Then Duracell got bought by Gillette, and you moved to the product manager side over there. What made you choose Duracell after graduation, and what did you really learn from those early years that helped you in your current role?
Great question, Steve. So I did start with Duracell right out of school. They had a great management development program, which is something that I was very much looking for. An opportunity to apply what I had learned in school, but do it in a way that I could see very intentional career progression. And I also love the brand. From the time I was little, I remember the Copper Top brand and some of its iconic advertising. So that was very exciting. And then once I started with Duracell, again, I realized that from a cultural perspective, it was very progressive, very inclusive. They really were intentional about developing, their people. And it was later bought by Gillette, and I think we retained a lot of that, and actually were able to infuse some of the expertise from Gillette as well.
Can you elaborate a little bit more how Duracell and Procell work together and how they fit together?
Absolutely. Most people know Duracell as I did when I started from the copper top batteries. That's been it's been around for about 100 years, and most consumers interact with Duracell copper top. We've had another side of the business that is called our professional side, and I think over the years it was we dabbled in it. I would say and we did a few different things. It was very disparate. We had disparate brands. And in about 2019, we decided we were now part of Berkshire Hathaway, and we saw the B2B side of the business as something that was very exciting and that we really had a right to win in. So we consolidated the brands, brought them under the Procell name, and we do something very different from our competition on the professional side with Procell. We actually design our batteries to meet the needs of professional devices. So that's very different than how our consumer counterparts design the copper and black batteries to meet consumer devices, that meet the needs of consumer devices. We actually look at the aggregate and the energy needs of the professional devices, and we design very intentionally for those devices. Right now, we have actually a dual portfolio called Procell Intense for the higher drain devices and Procell Constant for lower drain devices. So it really meets the needs of the device.
Very cool.
So before you were with Duracell, you went to Proctor Gamble, and then CVS Health. Tell us a little bit in some ways that you'd helped those companies grow, and what were those experiences like before you came back to Duracell?
Sure. So my first move out of the Duracell business was on Gillette. I led their male blade razor business on the brand side for North America for a number of years. At that time, we were launching Fusion and Fusion Pro Glide and some of the line extensions of Gillette and the upgrades of Gillette. And that was really from their business model. It was always about upgrading, giving people men a better shave, and providing value to the consumer. So during that time, I led a few of those launches, and we also delved pretty deeply into sports marketing and really understood our customer and how to relate to them, how to build our equity with them. Hence my love of sports. I was able to apply some of that and lead their NASCAR program. We had an NHL sponsorship as well as Major League Baseball. So again, it was really delving into the passion points of our consumer and helping to build that business.
That's awesome. That's very cool. So in 2017, you boomeranged, came back to Duracell, and worked your way up to VP and general manager. What made you come back? And since you've been back, do you have a proudest accomplishment that really sticks out to you?
Yes, absolutely. So the reason I came back was, first of all, again, I'd always loved the brand and it had a very special place in my heart because that's where I spent the first 10 years of my career. And it was also going through some transition. I had stayed close to some of the leaders at Duracell, and I knew that they had just been acquired by Berkshire Hathaway. They moved over from Procter and Gamble. The reason, Berkshire bought Duracell is because they were very excited about the equity and also very excited about the innovation. So to me, those were two things, and they were willing to invest in that to really, again, create the best possible products and value to our customers and to consumers. So to me, that was a very exciting place to be. I love the way that they had structured. I loved the organization, and again, of course, I loved the brand and the innovation behind it. So I came back in 2017. I led a commercial segment for a few years on the Duracell side, and then I moved over to North America marketing, which I led for 3 years, and then moved over to the B2B side. And it's very hard for me to pick just one thing that I'm particularly proud of. But I would say when I was leading marketing on the consumer side, we led the launch of Duracell Power Boost, Duracell with Power Boost ingredients, which was a major innovation on the consumer side. So I think that's one of my proudest accomplishments. And I would say moving over to the professional side of the business, I actually believe that the launch of Insight, Procell Insight, is one of my proudest moments, even though we're very early on. We'll talk a little bit more about that later.
This episode is sponsored by Procell. In the fast-paced world of hospitality, every detail counts. Imagine knowing exactly when a device in your hotel is about to fail, before it impacts your guests. That's the power of Procell Insight. Procell Insight is a revolutionary monitoring system that doesn't just keep your devices running, it keeps your operations smooth, your guests satisfied, and reduces your environmental impact. By retrofitting into your existing devices, Procell Insight transforms them into smart units, giving you real-time insights into battery and consumable life. No expensive upgrades, no disruptions, just smarter management. And the best part? Procell Insight is compatible with a wide range of devices, no matter the manufacturer. Now you can plan maintenance proactively, save money, and ensure that your guests never experience a single inconvenience. Discover how Procell Insight can elevate your hotel's operations and guest experience while helping you meet your ESG goals. Learn more at www.procell.com/insight. Procell Insight. Stop guessing. Start saving.
All right, Michelle. So this is where we get into more of the industry thoughts, how you're helping the hospitality industry. And one thing that we have talked about so much on this show is staffing shortages. And with that, how hotels need to be more efficient on the operational side. What are some common challenges that hotels are facing with device management? And how do these issues impact operations and the guest satisfaction side of things?
Yeah, so in hospitality, operational efficiency and guest experience are really critical. Yet most hotels actually rely on devices that are battery powered. The devices across hotels that are battery powered are everything from the door lock to the safe in the room to touchless bathroom and common areas. So it's really prevalent. And if that battery fails, it's actually a very negative experience for customers. I mean, if you can imagine, if this has ever happened to you, you're exhausted after traveling on business, you go to your room, you swipe the key, and nothing happens. It doesn't light up. So if that door lock is dead, it's going to take time to get somebody to come and change out the battery. You have to go back and forth to the front desk. It can be really frustrating and it can be really a pain point. So it's very inconvenient. And then from an operational standpoint, it leads to maintenance that is unforeseen. And often because they didn't plan for it, it is less efficient than it could be and disruptive to normal workflow.
Could you dive a little bit deeper into some additional maybe pain points for the hotel staff, and then give us some more of the real world consequences of poor device management?
Absolutely. So the pain points become very clear when you consider that impact to guests and also to hotel operations. For for guests, for instance, a malfunctioning device can be very painful. Again, there's a door lock example where it doesn't work when you want to get into your room. You could be in a situation where you want to get your valuables out of the hotel safe. And if it doesn't work at that moment, you may need your computer for a meeting that's about to start. These things can create a very negative experience. And if that experience is disruptive enough to the guest, we know that they will complain. We know that hotel guests, about 48% of them will be willing to write a negative review if they've had a bad experience at that hotel. So if they write that if they write up that review, and that review, is seen by many people, we know that a single review can cost a hotel up to 30 bookings. So it's really negative from both, the reputation of the hotel as well as the bottom line. So from a guest and guest experience standpoint, it can be very disruptive. And these types of experience can also be very negative on the operational side. So the lack of having a proactive monitoring system or a way to predict when the batteries are going to run out can cause one of two things. It can cause them either to hold off on the maintenance or the battery changing until it's needed, which could create that negative experience, or it could cause them to change batteries on a schedule or before it's necessary, which can lead to a lot of waste and wasted resources. So, for instance, a 500-room hotel on average could spend up to $100 a day on battery-related cost. So that's pretty significant. And again, and it's either in lost, in inefficient, managing reactively, or in lost resources. So without the proper monitoring, the hotel staff is really left to react to problems as, when they, in a way that isn't optimal for their workflow. So it really undermines what they can achieve from an operational efficiency standpoint.
Wow. I can't imagine traveling for work and trying to get a laptop out of the safe and the safe battery's dead.
Yes.
I never thought about that, but
ironically, some of these things have happened to me or happened to some of my colleagues, even being in the battery business, which is, it's really can be a painful experience.
Oh my goodness. So you mentioned Procell Insight earlier. Can you explain what that is and kind of those offerings that you're providing to help solve these issues?
Absolutely. So Procell Insight is designed specifically to address the challenges that hotels face. It offers a comprehensive real-time monitoring system that monitors, it's in a very integrated way, monitors all battery-operated devices. And it provides great insights into the life of both the batteries and also other consumables, things like paper towels and paper towel dispensers and soap dispensers. And it allows staff to proactively manage their workflow, proactively manage and prevent these issues before it becomes a guest experience issue. So we're really proud of this innovation. And also what sets it apart is that it's a simple retrofit. So we can retrofit into existing devices in a way that makes even older devices smart devices. So this takes away the need for costly replacements of many of the devices, and it works across many types of devices from many brands. And it is a flexible and scalable solution that can really be tailored to the specific hotel's needs. So think about it. If, for instance, a operational manager at the hotel sees that, on a certain floor, a number of the batteries are running low, he or she can plan for that maintenance on a time that is lower traffic time with minimal disruption to the guests. So it really transforms the approach and provides a much more seamless, much more guest-friendly way that works, again, universally, and really helps to enhance their efficiency and, again, protect that guest experience.
That's great. And so we covered a couple, we covered the safe, we covered door lock. So are there any other examples that maybe people wouldn't normally think about that real-time monitoring leads to improved service quality? Is there something that we would never think of that, we should?
I think the other area that has been most impactful is in the restroom, in a touchless bathroom. Think about how many times you go to wash your hands and there's no soap. And that could be because there's no soap, which again, Insight helps to monitor, but it also could be because the battery had died. So that was what Procell Insight is. It looks at the paper towel dispenser, the soap, and other items in a touchless bathroom, and really makes that experience, more seamless because it just protects against those outages.
So it almost seems like, as I knew Duracell and Procell as battery manufacturers, right? But it almost seems like you're transitioning from the battery manufacturing almost to a SaaS provider with Procell Insight. So, what innovations are you doing to keep you ahead of the competition in the SaaS space? As David and I know, coming from that space, it's a pretty crowded space. So how are you really standing out from your competitors and other folks that might be doing something similar?
So the transition from being a traditional battery manufacturer to a SaaS provider really does mark a significant evolution for Procell and for the Duracell company. But it started with our investment in, reliable power solutions, and which stemmed from the battery. But we've realized quickly that our customers had greater needs. There was more that we could help them solve for, and we started to think about it as an intelligent energy management tool. And that really brought us to Procell Insight, and it brought us into the SaaS space. But it allowed us to leverage, if you think about what we know and what we've done well for, many, many, many years in Duracell, we understand devices. We understand how devices manage energy. And we took the depth of that understanding and then we're able to create a platform that offered this real-time monitoring and predictive analytics and operational insights. So it took it to another level. And it was one that is, again, very meaningful for our customers. I would also just say that we incorporated the benefits of those analytics as we were thinking and understanding, how the devices, how they work, how they consumed energy, and how we were able to really read them quite accurately and be able to feed that back in a seamless, integrated system that goes back to a very user-friendly platform and user-friendly interface for the manager, which can give them insights into a single hotel or even multiple hotels if there's a change. So we do have that very simple dashboard that can glean those insights and really translate those into insights that they can use to leverage and smooth out their overall operations.
And so looking ahead, what trends do you see in the industry? And also, how is Procell positioned to continue to drive innovation in the space?
So I believe that the future of hospitality is all about connectivity, personalization, and sustainability. So guests are increasingly expecting a seamless, connected, even sometimes tailored experience, but they are expecting it to be seamless and they're expecting it to be effortless. So this means that hotels need to adopt integrated solutions that really help deliver against those expectations. So at Procell, we're really focused on staying ahead of these trends. We're trying to stay one step ahead and understand, how we can help to deliver against these needs and these expectations. We're continually looking at ways to enhance the data and internalize and translate that data into insights. We're looking at IoT, we're looking at other technologies to create smarter, more sustainable solutions for hotels and the hospitality industry overall. So our goal is to continue to drive innovation and that not only improves operational efficiency and enhances the overall guest experience, but is both seamless and sustainable.
So I love this. You're talking about the connectivity being seamless. Are you all integrating with other technologies in the hotel systems so these systems are talking to each other?
So we have the ability to absolutely, we can integrate into any program management system, any PMS or APS system. We can also, if we have a standalone dashboard, so if someone just wanted to look at the Procell Insight dashboard and use that as a standalone, it's very user friendly and very seamless, but we can integrate into any hotel system as well.
That is so awesome. I come from the PMS space, and one of the things that the maintenance team always did was schedule out their maintenance. And that would be replacing smoke detector batteries, things like that, right? So now they can see exactly the battery life that is, where it is, and determine, like you said, when is the best time to change that. So cool.
Exactly.
Very cool.
Exactly. Whatever view of that they need to, they can pull very quickly, very efficiently.
And so I'm a big Duracell fan. That's what we use here at home. Has Duracell done any study why your home smoke detector battery fails between 1 and 4 a.m. in the morning routinely? It never dies at like 2 o'clock or 3 o'clock in the afternoon. It always starts to chirp like at 1 or 2 o'clock in the morning. So anything there that Duracell's working on?
We cannot help with that, unfortunately, but in the hotel space, that's one of the things we can avoid, because I'm telling you, the stories we've heard of people, again, having the worst possible time for them to not be able to get into their hotel room or their safe. The stories are pretty awful sometimes, and it just is Murphy's Law. It's always at the worst possible time. So,
right.
Do you have a story that you've heard where you're just like, oh wow, that literally was the worst time?
I heard one story about a bride trying to get into their door, and the bride was running a little bit late, and it actually compromised the timing of the wedding, and that was a very difficult moment for a bride. I myself actually had a situation where it was about midnight. I ran down to get some water, came back. Door lock did not work, and I knew it wasn't I went back there. If the light doesn't even light up at all, it means the battery is dead. Thankfully, it did take about an hour ultimately for me to get in, between going back and forth and waiting for maintenance and having them shock it and then change out the battery. So I had to present to our global team the next morning. It was a very important presentation. So I was very thankful I went down to get that water that night versus doing it first thing in the morning, after the gym, and I only had to get ready. So it does happen. And Procell Insight can help.
That's great.
Cool.
Well, this has been great. So, Michelle, we have been asking you the questions this whole time. So this is where we turn the tables and we let you ask David and I one question.
Okay, great. So I would ask, who is your most exciting guest on the show been?
One of my favorites was recently, we haven't released it yet, but it is a glamping show we had. It's called Pause Up, and it's just a high-end glamping location. And it was really, I love the outdoors. I love glamping. So to hear how they incorporated the luxury side with the glamping side, and then I'm a huge guest experience guy. So to hear all the experiences that they had on their property was one of my favorite episodes.
For me, maybe because my good friend was there, but Judy Chen from Dream Live from Resort World Hotels in Las Vegas was just a lot of fun. It was really the first time we did and by live I mean more in-person type interview. And then she was just hilarious. And my good friend Anthony Mercuri was there, so we had this whole vibe going, and it was just it was like a mini party. It was like the first time we really just had like a complete blast. And obviously we were in Vegas, so it was one of those type deals. But that was probably my most unique and interesting one that we did.
All right. Well, I'll have to check both of those out. The glamping idea is the only way I would camp. My husband can tell you. So I definitely will check that one out.
Absolutely. You'll have to. So this last section that we're going to do, our producer, John, he's been listening the whole time. We're going to hand it over to him for the final question, and then we're going to get you out of here, Michelle.
All right. Great.
All right. So when you talk batteries, I guess for me, I don't necessarily think like hospitality or hotels or like what's the impact, but you really painted the picture and really provided some solutions and like how these impact everything in this space. My question for you is like, what is like your favorite thing about working in the hospitality space or getting to work with people on these solutions?
Great question. So my favorite thing in the hospitality space and working with this industry is just the really intense focus on guest experience. Like, I'm also a big believer of customer experience, and I travel quite a bit myself. So I think that there's such an intentionality around designing for an optimal experience. And there's so many amazing things that they can do, from the architecture of the building to the design of the rooms to the way you're greeted when you check in. There's so many layers to that. And for us to be able to play a role, like, you wouldn't want to go, as they go through all that effort to just flawlessly design these experiences, for it to then be undermined by something so simple as the battery life, or the battery dying before it needs to. I feel like we can help protect that guest experience and then help them deliver it in a more efficient way, so they can spend even more time interfacing with those guests and really enhancing that overall experience.
So that does it for another episode of the Modern Hotelier. So Michelle, this is where you can tell people how can they go find out more about Procell, Duracell, get in touch with you so you can plug away.
Absolutely. So look us up at Procell.com. Under that, you can click on the Procell Insight tab. Again, it's an integrated device management system that is really going to be transformative from driving operational efficiency and guest experience in a way that is seamless and sustainable. So look us up at Procell.com.
All right. Well, that does it for another episode of the Modern Hotelier, the most engaged podcast in hospitality. Whether you're watching or listening, we appreciate you, and we'll see you next time. Thanks, Michelle.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Michelle.
This episode is sponsored by Procell. In the fast-paced world of hospitality, every detail counts. Imagine knowing exactly when a device in your hotel is about to fail, before it impacts your guests. That's the power of Procell Insight. Procell Insight is a revolutionary monitoring system that doesn't just keep your devices running. It keeps your operations smooth, your guests satisfied, and reduces your environmental impact. By retrofitting into your existing devices, Procell Insight transforms them into smart units, giving you real-time insights into battery and consumable life. No expensive upgrades, no disruptions, just smarter management. And the best part? Procell Insight is compatible with a wide range of devices, no matter the manufacturer. Now you can plan maintenance proactively, save money, and ensure that your guests never experience a single inconvenience. Discover how Procell Insight can elevate your hotel's operations and guest experience while helping you meet your ESG goals. Learn more at www.procell.com/insight. Procell Insight. Stop guessing. Start saving.
You made it to the end of the Modern Hotelier. Thanks for listening. The Modern Hotelier is produced by Make More Media. Make sure to like and subscribe if you're listening on YouTube, or subscribe wherever you get your podcasts. If you know a guest or sponsor that would be a good fit, feel free to email us at hello@themodernhotelier.com. If you'd like to get some Modern Hotelier merch, click the merch button on modernhotelier.com or click the link below. Thanks and have a great day.